Turnabout by Conlon. Far off, a dog barks. The sound wakes Jerry, and he opens his eyes to the half-light, listening. It'd be Carey's old mutt making all the racket. There was a time when his own dog would have answered, but that time is gone now. The barking stops, and the silence that is left hums in his ears. He stretches out a hand to the empty space in the bed and allows his palm to rest there. He imagines Maeve's soft weight beside him, the way she'd ask, had he slept? If he wanted tea brought up. He closes his eyes, but is roused again by the sound of cars in the yard. The children. Not that they are children anymore. All grown up, the three of them. All with their own advice on how he should live now. Or more to the point, where he should live. The new nursing home will suit him down to the ground, they said. They'd shown him the shiny brochures, rooms decorated as if the place was a hotel. You'll be well taken care of, Daddy, Roisin, the youngest, said, and we'll visit all the time, won't we? She appealed to her brother and sister, who were quick to reassure him. He'd never have a minute to himself with all the visits, they said. Daddy, he hears Roisin call. Are you awake? He looks up at her standing in the doorway. There's an expectant look on her face, and her eyes dart to the suitcase she'd packed for him the night before. Joe is here, she tells him, and Margaret. We're all here. The big send-off, so, he says. Ah, Daddy, don't be like that. He sees the struggle in her eyes, the guilt that must be tearing her apart. He watches her cross the room and pull back the curtains. She stays for a minute or two looking down at the yard. She has Maeve's face, her dark eyes and head of brown curls. It hurts to look at her. She turns from the window. You know it's for the best, Daddy, don't you? She wants him to agree, to be agreeable. That would make it easier. But he doesn't feel like being agreeable. He doesn't feel like making it easier for anyone else, not even for Roisin. What does she know about it being for the best? What do any of them know? They'd become concerned, they'd said, when they found him sleeping in the barn. They thought he needed extra care. Care they couldn't give him, what with families and work commitments. He didn't tell them he was simply avoiding the house, the vastness of the double bed, the scent of her perfume still ghosting. He hadn't the words to tell them how it was for him, how emptiness could fill up a room, a house, how absence became a presence from which there was no escape. The young knew nothing of these things. They would not understand that letting go was simply not an option. 19 months now, and still he found himself at odd moments reaching for 2 cups or turning in mid-thought to tell her something. Margaret's making breakfast, Roisin says. Get dressed and come down. She steps out, and he lies there for a while, listening to the girls chattering below. Joe's deep voice now and then. He throws back the covers and reaches for his clothes. He dresses himself and goes downstairs. The talking stops when he goes into the kitchen. Margaret is cracking an egg into the pan, and Joe is staring at his mobile phone. Good morning, Daddy. Margaret looks up with a bright smile, bright, uncertain eyes. Dad? Joe has barely looked Jerry in the eyes since the for sale sign was hammered into the ground. Put away that old phone, can't you? Jerry is deliberately gruff. He'd had hopes for his son, hopes that never came to anything. The hours he'd spent trying to teach him to mend a fence, stack bales, milk a cow. Time wasted. He's not cut out for it, Maeve would say. He wants to be a musician. A musician? Jerry had laughed long and loud, a cruel sound even to his own ears. He'll play the harp to the cows, is that it? He scoffed. You should be encouraging him to be a real man instead of mollycoddling him. Takes courage to be a real man, she told him. Courage to do what you want instead of what's expected of you. He turned on his heel, not knowing how to make sense of what seemed like no sense at all. There's a clatter of cutlery, cups, bowls and plates as the table is set. Jerry sits at his usual spot, his back to the window. He looks at the cup of tea set down before him, a plate overloaded with eggs, sausages and rashers. The rind of the rashers crisped the way he likes them. He thinks about prisoners on death row. The girls chat while they eat, directing conversation towards him, but he doesn't join in. Thanks, he says, when his plate is lifted. The suitcase is brought down and the girls argue over whether he should take his best coat, the one they'd given him for Christmas, a fancy suede affair that felt like a harness when he tried it on. You know what those nursing homes are like, Margaret says. The coat would be robbed on him. Get me the coat, he says, and the girls rush to the stairs in a race to bring it down. He puts it on, feeling the weight of it on his shoulders. He fastens the buttons and goes out. Where are you going, Daddy? He hears Roisin say as she pulls the door behind him. A quick turnabout. Stay there, he orders through the closed door. He crosses the yard and heads for the empty field. He thinks back to the evening last week when the cows were taken away. He'd stood in the yard while they were being loaded up, calling to the men to go easy, to take it handy. What he couldn't bear was to go near the lorry, to see up close the animals' bewildered eyes. After the lorry was gone, he went to the milking shed and swept the last of the milk from the floor. When it was clean, he stood in the evening's dying light and wondered at the strange feeling that washed through him. He continues walking, climbing to the top of the hill. He knows every dip and hollow, the places where an ankle can twist suddenly or an animal stumble to its knees. He looks at the drains that will soon need to be cleared. He sees the blossoms in the potato fields and wonders will the ploughing get started before the first frost. He reminds himself it is no longer any of his business. He takes a deep breath, closes his eyes against the suddenly scalding light. Dad! He can hear Joe's voice calling to him from the yard. He opens his eyes and continues walking. He crosses another couple of fields to where the lake is. When the children were young, he'd bought a few lorry loads of sand and made a small beach on one side of the water. Maeve would bring the children there on summer days, and on summer nights it became his and Maeve's private place. For a long time Maeve would not enter the water. It made her feel alone, she said, all the way down there under the surface. She was afraid on her own, she told him. Jerry has never feared the water. He has no fear now as he steps into the lake. He pulls the suede coat around him, tightening the belt until he can scarcely breathe. The water fills his boots and rises to his knees. He can hear Joe again, though his voice is still far off. Dad! There's anxiety in the tone. Jerry looks at his reflection in the water, the trembling image of himself, and he is suddenly ashamed. He feels the weight of the coat dragging him down. He loosens the belt and releases himself from its shackles. He watches the coat float for a few moments and then sink through the water until it disappears from view. Lighter now, he steps back until he is standing on solid ground. He thinks about the drains that need to be cleared, the ploughing he needs to get started. And Maeve.